But what I will do is I have divided my talk into 3 points. One is I will take you to the Western Ghats. I know the officer from Honavar is here. So some of the aspects we will discuss what we are doing in the Western Ghats. Okay, the officer also is here. So, and then we launched recently the portal, the decision support system for identifying the ecologically sensitive villages, okay, in Western Ghats. This is the tool or the thing, the decision support system we provide for the decision maker so that they can take appropriate decisions. As you all know, as per the Biodiversity Act, BMCs have to take the decision. So now BMC has to be empowered. For that we thought that this kind of tool will help. Now the first part what I am going to discuss is the last 2.5 decades what we have done in the Western Ghats. So one of the thing is when we talk about sustainability or the sustainable future, if you ensure the clean air and water to the next generation, okay, that means you have achieved the goal. That is where you have to, when you have that goal, you will also ensure the sustenance of natural resources. And then when that is the case, then you will be having the minimal disaster and there will be peace and the security and survival. Okay, that means there will be prosperity everywhere. When there is a prosperity, there is no conflict. And for that, one has to maintain the ecosystem integrity. As officers, the forest officers, I am sure you all know what is meant by ecosystem integrity. So, if you have to maintain ecosystem integrity, you have to take appropriate decisions. Responsible decision making is the requirement. So, but I am missing that in the system. So, see the way
Sir, you said it intervene here?
After a few minutes. Let me do the warm-up session. You want to do that? Okay, please do it.
And you said that you have to take decision. But you see, any major decision is taken at the government level. In the government level, we are nowhere as a forest officer. You see, PM Gati Shakti, you are knowing this thing. In PM Gati Shakti, lot of reviews going there. And one of the problem came that forest clearance was not written on time. The story was different. That proposal was went to the forest department very late. But all the onus was put on the forest department. And you see the latest Forest Conservation Act amendment, totally ecological disaster.
What are you doing? Why are you not raising your voice? See, that is the problem. If all of us have raised the voice, things would have been different. Now let us see how I teach in IISC, okay? See, if you want to learn the principles of thermodynamics, I just teach them the food chain. When you look at the food chain, the simple food chain, you see that herbivore depends on the producers and which is eaten by the next level. But if you look at the energy and material transfer happens, from one level to the other level, there is also laws of energy, law of entropy also is there. That means you can learn the principles of thermodynamics by that. Okay. Then finally, whatever is left in the system gets converted into elemental form by bacteria and fungi, the microorganisms. That means there is nothing called waste in the natural ecosystem. Then where do you see waste? Where do you see waste?
That is not regenerated by the nature, that is waste.
Yeah, you see where waste people are there.
Yeah.
Okay. So now let us recall how many species we have on this earth. Our scriptures have talked about it. 8 to 12 million species. In science, we have said about 1.2 million species. Out of 1.2 million species, we know the phytochemical properties are only about the 10% or 8 to 10%. That means there is not to be done, but we are losing them. So in fact, in some of the places when I visit, I did the performance audit in Goa forest the last 6 months. There is a tiger. But just because politicians said that don't talk about tiger, officers don't want to speak. So In fact, I said that when I write the report, I am going to highlight this also. So this is the okay. So now, this is my study region, the Western Ghat. You know, the Western Ghat is the backbone of southern India. It actually supports the livelihood of the people. Because of the numerous rivers, we have a water security in the Deccan Peninsula India. Now, because of the water security, we have food security. And this is the region has to be conserved. You know, if you look at the Western Ghat, it extends from 8 degree to 22 degree latitude. The length is about 1600 kilometers. And the area is about only 5% of India's geographical area. See, my question to everyone is that, why are you worried about development in this 5% of geographical area, which is giving us the water? You know, the country has to progress, they say, and for that they have to, the progress of the country, they think that with the degradation of forest. They think that only when you are degraded, you know, then the country prospers, which is unfortunate, but we need to change the system. Okay. Now let us look at how many species occur where. Now when you look at latitudinally, the number of species, you see at 8 to 14 degree latitude, we have the highest number of species. That corresponds to Kerala and Karnataka part of Western Ghat. If we don't conserve that, then we will lose them. So that is where we need to protect them, we need to conserve them. So that is where the science comes to the picture. Okay? Now, that is where if you have to maintain the ecosystem integrity, you know, we understood the species occur there. If the species occur there, if it has to be there, its habitat has to be protected. That means you need to protect the physical and chemical integrity of that habitat. Physical integrity means you are not going to change, alter the ecosystem, and chemical integrity means you are not going to pollute and alter the chemical integrity of the system. So that is where when you maintain the physical and chemical integrity, then you will have the biological integrity. That means the species which occur there, you will continue to have them there. Okay. So now let me give a case study of you all as a forester. What is your role in sustaining the water? You know, you have a good officers have contributed to the sustaining the water, and of course, it's unfortunate that we come across some bad officers also in our life. So what to do? So now, see, this has happened in a region during my time. Okay, 91 when I was a student, in the region I had water. Today, in the same location, same month, I don't have water. See, this is true. So now, if you look at when you are green, you had water. When you have removed the green, you have lost the water. So now that means, you know, the ecosystem. If you look at the landscape is a mosaic of ecosystem. The way the ecosystems are, its functions also depends on that. What are the ecosystem functions? You know the biogeochemical cycle, hydrological cycle, nutrient cycle. So these are the cycling which, if it has to happen, you have to maintain the integrity of the system. So if you do not do that, then you will see that there will be the problem of water, etc. See, the Karnataka is now facing a drought. You know, 170 taluks in Karnataka is under severe drought. So now, last 2 years we were talking about floods. So now you can see the irony is because of this mismanagement. So now let me take you to the river basin, which makes things clearer to this. See, this is Sharavati river. It originates at Ambudeta, traverses 128 kilometers, joins the ocean. You ask any civil engineer about river, they invariably they say that blue line is a river. That is the unfortunate thought. A river has a catchment. River has to be managed considering the catchment. The catchment, if you manage the catchment, you will have the water. Now to understand this, you know what changes we did? In this river, we constructed a dam way back in 65. Now when we constructed a dam, the reservoir was constructed in this region which submerged 179 villages. Those villages were forcibly evicted and they were dumped in the dry belt. You know, this is a wet area where people were cultivating the paddy, sugarcane, etc. But now they are dumped in the dry bed. What did these farmers do? They waited this reservoir work to be completed. Then they just came to this region. They converted forest in this region into the agricultural land, and today the agricultural land has become barren area. Now, when you look at the using remote sensing data, if you look at one portion has the vegetation cover, other portion does not have the vegetation cover. And if you look at the topography of the region is a rain catching region and it's an undulating region. And you will see that the region receives the orographic precipitation. Now, if you want to see the dam construction, has it impacted the rainfall pattern? Let us look at various other factors also. First is the rainfall. Now, to analyze the rainfall, we have the 123 years rainfall data in our country. 1901 onwards, we have compiled the rainfall data, which is available throughout the country. And you just download the data, divide that into two time period, 1901 to 1964 and 1965 to today. Why 1964-65? Because the dam was commissioned in 1965. Now when you analyze the rainfall spatially, you see that during 1901 to 1964, this entire region was receiving the rainfall of 3000 to 4500. Now, after the construction of the dam, 1965 to today, if you look at this portion, gets the rainfall of 3000 to 4500, while the other side started getting a rainfall of 1700 to 1900 millimeter. Now, this is mainly because of removal of the vegetation, the tall trees in the region has contributed to the thing. As you all know, the hydrological cycle has the various components like the precipitation, condensation, etc. The process of condensation and precipitation requires the aerodynamic pressure, which can be provided by the trees. So now the trees are removed. Now naturally you will not have the water rainfall in the region. That is what has come clearer here. Now to understand the linkage between the forest and the rainfall, let us divide this into subbasin. There are tributaries. This is one tributary. Like that, there are many tributaries on the west. There are tributaries in the east. So you can see I have delineated the black polygon indicate the tributary and the subbasin associated with that. These are the tributaries on the western side, while this is on the eastern side. Let us look at what is the percentage of forest cover and the rainfall. Okay, on the eastern side, forest cover is the 30%. Okay, you have the rainfall of 1776 or 41%, 1750. While on the western side, you see the rainfall of 4800 for the forest cover of 65%. And the forest cover of 60%, rainfall is 4400. This shows there is a linkage between the forest and the rainfall. Okay. Now, one is the rainfall. Second is how long that water is available decides the livelihood of the people. To understand that, we did the experiment for 36 months. They put the sensors in the underlying layers, which monitors the water that gets infiltrated when it rains, and also the water that flows laterally gets recorded in the sensor. Now, we chose the various catchments. One, the couple of catchments dominated by native species vegetation, the couple of catchments dominated by monoculture plantation, couple of catchment, degraded catchment or the urban catchment. Then we monitored that for 36 months. When it rains, if there is a native species vegetations are there, which are diverse, the roots are also diverse. Because roots are diverse, the soil microorganisms are diverse and abundant. When soil microorganisms are diverse and abundant, soil becomes porous or permeable, which is evident from the bulk density. You will see the bulk density, if you analyze, you will see that the lower bulk density shows the porosity of the soil, which means when it rains, the water percolates, it fills this zone, which is saturated zone, then it fills this zone, which is a shallow zone. After filling these two zones, you will see the water flowing in the stream or a river in a catchment dominated by native species forest. Now you may ask, what will happen in the case of monoculture plantation? See, the monoculture plantation, because of the similar, the texture and other the type of the leaves, etc., the rate of degradation is lower. In the process what happens, they form a thick layer. When they form thick layer, it takes time for the water to percolate. So it won't percolate to that much. See, our study shows wherever native species forests are there, the amount of rainfall that get infiltrated into the underlying layer amounts to about 60 to 65%. When we convert that into monoculture plantation, the amount of water that gets infiltrated is about 32 to 36%. That means almost 50% of the water percolation you have prevented by opting for monoculture plantations. Okay, and of course, in the urban area, nothing goes in. So now, what is the advantage of the water getting percolated? The water you have in this stream or the river or lake for 4 months because of the monsoon rainfall. In this region, we have the rainfall for 4 months. Then after 4 months, the water that is stored in this region, the water flow, moves towards the river or lake or a stream for the next 3 to 4 months. During summer, the water that is stored in this region comes to river or stream for the next 4 months. That's how you have 12 months of water in the river or stream, provided you have maintained the native species vegetation. If you remove the native species, convert it into monoculture plantation, that is what is happening in Karnataka in many places. Okay, that happened, but now we have cautioned the government. So that there is a restriction on that. So now in such a case, only we have 6 months of water. So now depending on the duration of water flow, we have graded the streams as A, B, C, D. A are the streams carrying the water for 12 months, B are 8 months, C are 6 months, D are the 4 months. Now let us see where this A, B, C, D type of streams occur. A type of streams occur, that means the streams carry water 12 months when the catchment is dominated by native species forest, the vegetation covers more than 60%. When you convert that into monoculture plantation, you have 8 to 6 months of water. When we degrade the catchment with the forest cover less than 30% river, you have water in the stream only during the 4 months. Okay. Now, to summarize what I said so far, this is the region. The forests are there. About 60 to 65% percolation happens, the blue line shows. Here, the degraded region, not much percolation happens. Now, let us look at the demand of the people. People require water for agriculture, horticulture, livestock rearing, and when you look at the forested area, the demand for water is higher, but still there is no scarcity of water. You see the water availability is much higher than the demand, and demand is much higher. Okay, whereas this region, the demand is there is not sufficient water. Now, if the government says country has to develop, I would say let us keep it green, then country will develop. Okay, this is what we have to tell them. Now, if you want to understand the thing, this is the region where 12 months water is there. This is 8 months, yellow is 6 months, blue is 4 months. Okay, now just overlay the forest cover on this. Wherever forests are diverse and contiguous, you see that 12 months water is there. Depending on the extent of fragmentation, you have 8 to 6 months of water. That means depending on how much you have included in the system with the monoculture plantation, you see that 8 to 6 months. Okay. Then depending on how much people have removed the forest, you have 4 months of water. Okay. You might ask how this affects the people. The farmers in this region, if you look at their livelihood, in this region, if they earn 1,54,000 rupees per acre per year, the farmers in this region, they earn only 32,000 rupees per acre per year. That is mainly because in this region, farmers can grow multiple crop or cash crop since the water is there throughout the year. Whereas in this region, water is there only during the 4 months or 6 months, they can grow only one crop. Now you see, by managing the forest effectively, how you are contributing to the livelihood of these thousands of farmers in the region. So that is what happens in the system. Now, if you want to understand further, look at the yield of the crop. In this region where forests are there of native species, the pollinators are abundant And we have published all these things. If you are interested, you can go through our articles, highlighting, quantifying all these things. Pollinators are abundant. Because of that, pollination is efficient. When pollination is efficient, the yield of the crop is higher. See, in this region, if the farmers get the yield of, for example, the paddy of about 12 to 16 quintal per acre, farmers in this region, they get only 6 to 8 quintal per acre because there are not many pollinators are there. See, where monoculture plantations are there, acacia, eucalyptus, this one, they release toxins, alkalides. So that is where they do not allow these insects to thrive there. So now, see, that is where if you want to double the income of the farmers, that's what the government of India keeps telling. Our Prime Minister keeps talking about it. I always tell him the one thing, just maintain the ecosystem integrity. My one suggestion is put a good officer who has a good integrity so that we don't lose the forest. So then automatically the people are also benefited from this one. This is the work what we published in the current science in 2020. Those of you who are interested can download this article, it's available online. It gives these linkages of the this one. This one, Santosh, I will share. Santosh, you can download this and share with them. Sure. Because that gives a lot of insight for the forest management also. Now, let us look at the biodiversity. See, these dots indicate the various mammals, sloth, deer, tiger, etc. Now, if you plot it, their distribution, you will see wherever water is available, animals are there. Okay. Now, in this region where water scarcity is there, only two-legged animal is there, fighting for water. Okay. Now, we identified two species of fish. Sistura nabodiensis, Sistura sharavatiensis. This is again from the Sharavati basin. One of the officers is from that region. So, this one, it also has a medicinal property. We thought that okay, if we culture it in our labs in Bangalore, we can make money. But unfortunately, the fish which was cultured in our lab didn't have that property. Which means, if you want that property to be there in the organism, you need to culture them in their habitat. For them to culture in their habitat, they should have water throughout the year, then only fish can survive. Now, fish to survive in that river or a stream for 12 months, it should have the catchment dominated by native species forest. That shows the linkage between the forest and the aquatic diversity. That's where your profession is linked to the various. Okay. Now,
medicine property.
Sorry.
What is the medicine property of the fish, sir?
This is used for bronchitis.
Okay.
On that Purnima day, that Okay. Now, let us see the warming of the earth is happening. With warming of the earth, we know that changes in climate is happening. Now, changes in climate will suddenly remove the water from the earth. So now, if the water is not there, how the other organisms get adjusted or adapted to that situation? Let us try to understand through the case of frog. As you all know, frog are known as amphibian because they have two stages in their life cycle. The first stage is the juvenile stage or the tadpole stage, which is in the water. The next stage is the adult stage, which is on the land. Because of that, we call them as an amphibian. Now, if the water is not there, then the progeny will not, the tadpole will not thrive. So, in such a case, this organism, how it has adapted to the situation, let us understand. Philatus leucorhinus is a species. We saw that after fertilization of the egg, we saw on the 14th day younger ones were emerging out, bypassing the tadpole stage itself. So then we were curious. We got that the fertilized egg to the lab. We monitored. On the 14th day in my lab, I saw that coming out. The younger ones coming out. That means these organisms have learned how to get adapted to a situation when there is a crisis for water. But whatever our ability and this one, we will not survive. The humans will not survive. That is the thing. That is where we need to protect the conserve the forest. Okay. Then understanding this kind of linkages, our elders protected the forest and patch of forest as sacred groves, or the Khans or rice. In Goa and Maharashtra they call it as rice. In Kerala they call it as Khan. In Karnataka they call it as sacred forest or the Devara God. Now, unfortunately, what is happening is people, urbanites who do not understand these linkages, they are converting this into the concrete structures. You go to, wherever the good forests are there in Karnataka, invariably you will see Devi temple. Behind Devi temple, there's a lush green forest are there. So, and water is always linked to the goddess Durga. Okay. Now, when you look at Lord Shiva, as long as his head has the hair, he has the ability to retain the water. Okay. To summarize what I said so far, as long as we cover Mother Earth with the native species, the sari, the Mother Earth retains the water for 12 months so that we all can lead a life. When we degrade that, then we will not have the water for the 12 months. Then we will face the crisis. Okay, this is my first case study. So, anyone wants to summarize this?
Sharavati River, and then you told us different sites, different catchment areas of the river, east, west, north, and south, and then how the canopy density or canopy cover is affecting the infiltration of the water. The places, the areas, or the sites where the canopy density is more, have more infiltration of water in comparison to the areas which are lesser, and then the areas which are and different type of the systems where the natural forest is there, their infiltration is more, and where there is agriculture it is 50% lesser, and where there is populated areas it is very lesser. The places which are covered with the natural vegetation supply water for 12 months in comparison to the areas which are agriculture areas which are supplying water.
It's a monoculture plantation.
Yes.
Why are you using agriculture? That means you are convinced of the acacia and eucalyptus problem.
Up to some extent, sir. And then to the hectic places which are having water only available for 4 months. And then we saw that how the effect of climate change is affecting the species adaptation in case of.
I also talked about livelihood of the people.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Per acre 1,54,000 versus 32,000.
Yes. They are getting lesser in comparison to the areas where which are having the natural vegetation. How the species of the frog is adapted towards the change in the climate or rise in the temperature, that how it is skipping one stage and then directly coming to the other, and about the variety of the fish which if found in the ecosystem is having more medicinal properties in comparison to if it is cultivated in the lab conditions.
Now, as you all know, we launched the satellite way back in 70s. Every 21 or 30 days, you get a picture of the Earth. Okay. If you analyze that, you can understand the spatial extent of the ecosystem and also the condition of the ecosystem. So now, to understand condition of the ecosystem, we have various metrics. Fragmentation analysis we do. Fragmentation metrics we compute. Okay. There are various levels of fragmentation. Through PF and PFF we do that. Okay. Now, today the analysis of this remote sensing data has become so easy. It's less time consuming because of the artificial intelligence and machine learning. Earlier to analyze one district, people used to take 1 year or 1.5 years. But today, my students, they have analyzed the entire Western Ghats in a matter of 6 months. Okay. This is the benefit what we have, and this is the kind of the technology is available to equip you for appropriate decision. Now, when you look at from 1985 to 2018, you will see green is decision. Okay. Then, when you look at the fragmentation is happening, you all know the fragmentation leads to the inbreeding and the extinction of the species, etc. That is what the consequence of the fragmentation. Then we also quantified what is the carbon that is stored in this forest. Carbon sequestration, carbon credit is one of the things you can claim through this kind of quantification. So we did that analysis, above ground biomass, below ground biomass, and the soil. We analyzed the carbon. above ground biomass, you all know that you will have the non-destructive method to quantify. You measure the girth and height, and of course, there are good officers who have done the analysis earlier. Like I had a person from Karnataka cadre, SN Roy. What he used to do, he is an officer in the forest department. Wherever the dam construction used to happen, he used to go there and measure the weight of the tree and measure the girth and height, and he developed some of the allometric equations, the relationship between the girth and height with the biomass. That is what is helpful today. So that is what above ground biomass, below ground biomass, and the soil carbon, and then we computed total carbon. Then every year, how much carbon that gets sequestered also we quantified. Our study shows that Western Ghats has about 1.23 million gigagram of carbon stored in the vegetation and soil. And every year about 37,000 gigagram of carbon gets sequestered. See, when people say that you are not contributing to the development, you need to tell them this is what we are contributing. For that, there is something, please do not.
There is one clarification, sir. If a well-established forest and growing forest, the carbon sequestration would be more in growing forest than the well-established forest. What would be the more carbon sequestration?
No. See, if you understand the ecosystem is a dynamic, you have a mix. See, like our population, as we fade in the system, our younger generation takes over. Similar thing happens. Any instant of time, what is quantified? After 10 years when you quantify, you will get a similar number only. Only the turnover of the individuals would have happened. That's all. Instead of me, some other young fellow would have come kind of thing. Okay? So that is.
There is one thought also. In forest also, we need to make something clearance. Old stocks would come out so that new growth will take place. And that will sequester more and more carbon. This is the one thought.
No. Not disturbing the ecosystem, allowing the ecosystem is the best strategy. We looked at that. See, when you remove the trees, the carbon that is stored in the system gets released, and also more importantly, the soil carbon gets released in the form of the carbon dioxide. That emission is much higher than what is the amount that has retained in the system. So that is where we have to be careful when we take up this kind of thing. And the rate of carbon sequestration is not higher at the younger age. It's at the mid age. The mid age trees have the thing, the tender plants do not have that kind of thing. Okay. So now, when you look at this in terms of economics, 100 billion rupees or $1.3 billion. Now you might ask, what is the use of this? See, when I go to international forum, I will tell the Westerners, the carbon that is stored in my forest are the carbon emitted by them. Because at that time my country was not carbonized, not industrialized. So that means to manage this ecosystem, they should pay. That is where this kind of accounting will help. Ecosystem services, the thing. For your information, I have done the ecosystem services for the forest ecosystem and agriculture ecosystem and the wetland ecosystem for the entire Karnataka. So when we published for one of the districts in Karnataka, United Nations approached me and asked me whether I can do the ecosystem services for 10 districts in Karnataka. At that time, the COVID hit the streets and there was no movement of people. But since I was in the various committees of the government, I had the government vehicle and I could move around. We did the analysis not for 10 districts. We covered all districts in Karnataka. And that report is available online. It is called Natural Capital Accounting and Valuation of Ecosystem Services. Okay? So, now if this trend continues, what is likely to happen? Let us see. Forest will degrade further. See that today, during 1985 to 2019, if you look at, we have lost 5% of forest cover in the Western Ghats. And the evergreen forest constitutes only 10%. And if you look at the entire Western Ghats, the forest cover, which is about 18%. What is the forest cover that is supposed to be there in the region? 23%. See, even this 18% we don't want to protect. That is the unfortunate part of it. So then, what is the likely impact on the climate? Let us try to understand. See, even if you say that I don't require forest, at least look at the climatic thing which is going to happen, operations that is going to happen because of removal of the forest, there is a change in temperature. You know, the Kerala become warmer. Kerala receives a good rainfall and it's a wet. Now it becomes warmer. Then the second thing is when it is warmer, it will have more and more vector-borne diseases like dengue, chikungunya, COVID, etc. You know, zoonotic diseases. Because all these microorganisms which were there in the forest, they will move to the towns. So then the other thing which is going to happen is the spatial changes in the rainfall. The region which was receiving high rainfall will start getting low rainfall. Region which is getting low rainfall, like arid region, will start getting higher rainfall. Already we are facing this problem in Karnataka. You know, arid region, last 2 years we saw high rainfall. And the Western Ghats we saw the low rainfall. Then other thing is, more worrying is the number of rainy days. As you all know, the rain went across 4 months in Karnataka and 6 to 8 months in Kerala. Now instead of that 4 to 8 months, it will come for a week. You know, same quantum of water in a shorter duration of 4 to 5 days will create the flooding. When there is a flooding, there will be landslides and mudslides. When there is a landslide and mudslide, you know, because we have degraded the catchment, we have removed the vegetation protective cover, the region becomes fragile. When region becomes fragile, you will have more of landslide, mudslides. See, when I published this article in 2018, I had indicated that. I had said that the parts of Kerala and Karnataka is going to pay the heavy price. Then 2019, when there was a heavy rainfall, mudslides, landslide happened. Then people started looking at our article, they started asking us, how did you predict it and all those things. See, when there is a crisis, they will look at us. When there is no crisis, they think it has no use. Okay? So, now, you understood it is very important. Okay? Let us identify. See, because if you say that I will try to conserve entire Western Ghats, today's mindset is not to conserve forests or any ecosystem. Today's mindset is to do. When such a mindset is there, let us try to equip ourselves so that the minimization will happen, you know, the damage. For that, what we did is, we divided entire Western Ghats into 5 minutes by 5 minutes grid or 9 kilometer by 9 kilometer. Okay? Each grid is 9 kilometer by 9 kilometer. We put various data for each grid, you know, geoclimatic, biological factors, flora, fauna, then the social factor, the environmental factor. These are the variables we consider: land cover, you know, then the ecology, the biodiversity, endemic species, etc. Then geoclimatic, all those things. Then depending on their relevance, we gave the weight. You know, if the forest cover is more than 80%, naturally that grid will get weight of 10. If the forest cover is less than 30%, it will get the weight of 2. So that is how the weightage is given based on their relevance in the reserve. So then each grid will have multiple variables. Each variable has a weight. Now you will aggregate all those the weights what you have given. Then each grid will have some numbers like the CGPA. You know, when you have those numbers, based on that the relative score, you can group those grids and assign them as to ESR 1, 2, 3 and 4. What I meant so far is, you have the grids with various variables, you have given the weight for each variable, you have aggregated score. Now based on the aggregate score, you do the frequency distribution, you will group those grids into the 4 groups. Okay? These are the variables we use. See, all these variables we use, okay, and we assign the weight, and based on the weights, the aggregated score, we have identified the region which are ecologically sensitive. Okay, so
how do you measure energy?
Energy, because we have the renewable source of energy. You know, the location specific. We look at the potential of the solar energy, the wind by the wind velocity. You know, then by the what we calculate the calorific value of the fuel wood what we extract from the region. That's how we do that. Okay, so now. And the forest, as I explained earlier, we have done the fragmentation and land cover analysis. That is what we have done here. Now the aggregate score will give me that which are the regions which are ecologically sensitive 1. Then the dark green is the 2. Ecologically sensitive region 2 is as good as 1. Okay. Then we have the light green ESR 3 and blue is ESR 4. Okay. Now we also have done the analysis at the village level. So then you can do it at your office also. So this is the website. Okay, we launched it on July. Yes, see, already 722 people have accessed this. Okay, so you can see that you have the grid level as well as the village level. Okay, if you want at a state level, let us say Karnataka. Okay, the entire Western Ghats as well as Karnataka. Any state you can choose, Western Ghats state. Then you can go to your district. Let us say your district is Karwar, no? Yeah, Maharashtra also. The entire Western Ghats here. Now you got to Uttar Kannada, okay? Now in Uttar Kannada, if you are interested in a particular this one, okay? You want it 1 hour. Okay, now if you are interested in a village, you can choose this one. What is your village? Kasaragod. Your office is Kasaragod, no? You are in ESR 1. You want to know why it is ESR 1? Click on that, all the adequate information comes. And also all the data, what we have used to do the analysis, we have made it available. You know, whether it's bioenergy, carbon, all the data we made it available to the people. You know, after we launched this, then there was a question in the parliament also. I was surprised. You were saying no. In 14 days, I received a communication from the ministry asking for the details about this utility. That means we have done something which has made them to understand the. See, now if you want to this is our website. You know, here you will get that web-based decision support system. If you want mobile version, you just scan this. Okay. Even the media took it actually. When we launched it, I did it in a remote village in Shimoga. But still, the media picked it up. Okay. So, and this is you can see that you can scan this and you will have access. It is not just Karnataka part of Western Ghats, it is the entire Western Ghats. You know, the Maharashtra, Gujarat, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, all are included in the thing. And app is the Sahyadri, which is in the Google Play Store, it is available. Sahyadri. Sahyadri means Western Ghats. Okay, we have done our job. If you don't want to follow the thing, then what is the consequences? Let us try to understand. If you want to degrade the forest, what will happen? You know, people thought, let us look at from the history. You know, Easter Island, people thought land is available. They went on expanding the island, thinking that land is available. But they had to abandon the island one day because there was no water. So that led to the fall of that island, okay? If you look at our history book, Vijayanagara Kingdom, last leg of Vijayanagara Kingdom failed because of the water scarcity. Okay? That means that from history we can learn, at least if we are blind today in the name of Sagarmala and all these things, at least we can learn from the history to see that, okay? And incentivize those villagers so that they can grow the pulses. When they grow pulses, they may not get the revenue as they get in the case of sugarcane, but it is better. So that they will not undergo the loss of life and property. You know, this is what I have been telling the government of Karnataka. I am in various committees, but my state is a free state. You know, everything is free. Electricity is free, everything, even pollution is free. So that is the kind of state I am in. So some of us come from that state. In fact, in one of the meetings I told the environment minister, the lakes have to be rejuvenated, so we need to do something. He said, he called me Sahaba. He said, where is the money? Then I told, you have so much money, everything is free in my state. Electricity is free, the travel for my wife is free, everything is free. Then what is the resource crunch in the state? I said. He said, no, these are social issues, that is what you are talking about. I said, giving the clean water is also a responsibility of the government. But for them, when they clean the lake, they may not get the vote. That is the reason, okay? Or keeping the lake in a bad state so that building mafia can take the resource. That is where they do that, okay? So now to summarize what I said, it reduces the human-animal conflict. As the foresters, if you encourage the, I think you have the eco-development program and such program, incentivize the farmer, I think in your own way you have solved the problem at local level. So, well, now let me come to the second part of my talk, the wetlands. Before that, I want someone else to summarize. So, who will...
Forests basically are a good source of and sink of carbon above the ground as well as below the ground. And the Western Ghats, which is basically 5% of the whole country's geographical area, is housing the biggest biodiversity treasure also. So whatever development that we are, we should not aim the whole developmental process in those at 5% area. But because the political situation is such that one has to be convinced about the reasons as to why it should be preserved in its pristine state or whatever state it is today. So we have to encapsulate the ecological services given by Western Ghats. And for that you have developed a matrix which is in a 5 minute by 5 minute or 9 meter by 9 meter or
9 kilometer by 9 kilometer. See, we divided, you can see the grids here. Each grid is 9 kilometer.
Each one of them has various weighted averages of various factors, which includes energy, ecology, and then land use and social and other factors. So on various this thing, combinedly a weighted average is given to each one of them, and that can be seen. But what is transpiring is that carbon sink basically is reducing, and because the carbon sink is reducing, therefore much more is going into environment which is adversely affecting. So more and more people who are basically have been raised in a particular environment as a evolutionary practice for years together, they will be more at risk because of changing environment. Yes, you have divided it into 4 parts, and then you have launched a portal where this is available in public domain, and this can be used to put up our case for the sake of preservation of Western Ghats in its present form at least, or reducing it.
Well, this app has gone to NGT as well as the Supreme Court, and also the Minister for Environment and Forest, and including Prime Minister. So I was thinking whether Man Ki Baat that will appear, but Man Ki Baat mein maun ho gaya.
The underlying message is that the livelihood of people is intricately linked to also the ecological security, and both cannot be separated.
Yes.
Basically, sir, match to दो लाइन में करता हूँ. Ecology and economy is emerging from same words, eco. Eco in Greek means house. So, without ecology, you can't think of economy. If ecology is house in order, then only economy will prosper. This is the main thing, and this should be appreciated by the government per se.
Not only economy, the well-being.
Yeah,
well-being side
economy,
of people also.
Well, see, that's what we were talking. You mentioned that the healthy planet, which means the harmonious state of mind, body, and spirit, which is the holistic health. Okay? So now, with this, let us come to Bangalore. So, I call Bangalore as a land of encroaches. Okay? Looters, to put it in simpler words. I know each of the fellows their background. That's where it makes me more because I sit with the committees, I see how the decisions are taken only to benefit themselves. So now let us see how Bangalore was in 1800 and today. 1800 we had Cafe Dwar. Okay, he had his regime had taking advantage of topography of Bangalore and surrounding area, had an interconnected lake system. You know, the river was passing, they just put a bund at regular interval, that's how the lake was formed. And if you look at current Bangalore, it's about 715 square kilometers. In that, we have three watersheds. You know, KC Valley, Hebbal, Nagavara, Rishbam. And in this region, in 1800, the number of water bodies is 1452, and about 80% green cover was there because of the temperature in the region was 14 to 16 degrees Celsius. Okay, and we had 0 degrees Celsius for some time, some period in December, and we were growing apple in Palace Orchard. Today, what are we growing? Waste and waste people. Okay, so now we have only 193 wetlands and less than 8% green cover, and temperature which was 14 to 16 degrees Celsius in during Kempegoda period, it has become 34 to 37. So what we have done to Kempegoda, we are putting near the airport so that we can export it to anywhere else. So because our fellows, the looters, no, they don't want things to here. It is here only we think about it. Okay. Now, see, this is any region. If you want to mitigate the floods, just improve the drainage connectivity. You know, the topography of the region, respective topography of the region, you have handled the flooding problem in the region. You don't have to do anything, whether it is Chennai or Hyderabad or Mumbai or Delhi or Bangalore, the same thing. You know, all these drains is the looter's plan. You know, if they want to, there is something called remodeling of the drain. And some of you, if you have worked in the civic bodies, you will know remodeling is quite popular among the bureaucrats. That is nothing but concretizing the drain. You know, when you concretize the drain, per kilometer, the cost is about 8 crores. 50% of that they loot it. Okay. And that happens. When Lokayukta raid happened, that officer's house, I saw how much money he has kept at home. Okay. So now, you know, but we need to understand this is against the nature principle. See, any drain is a natural entity. It has a job to do. The hydrological infiltration is a job. Now, when you concretize it, you are not allowing that water to percolate. See, that's where when you do the canal concretization, you know, farmers get agitated because the farmers' well will not get the water. See, that is where then they come and break the canal and we jail them and all those things happen. But unfortunate thing is, our greed to make money, we convert the natural entity into the artificial one. Okay? Now, how the lakes have this? You know, when the lakes are there, people are getting water at 80 to 100 feet. After removing the lake in 5 years, I saw the water table went down to 600 feet. In the same region, today, 600. In the same location, after 23 years, people have gone down to 1900 feet. And there is no water. And what we are doing in that location, we have Antariksh stone. We have now the moon. You know, MGIRED searching for water there. Antariksh stone is there in that region. Okay. So on the lake bed it has come. Okay. So that is the result. Okay. So when you, but there also 40 to 50% they can make. No, that is also maybe the reason. Okay. Now let us understand the services provided by these ecosystems. You know, when the lake is not polluted, people get their livelihood in the form of the fodder, then the fish, etc. You know, the water, to a tune of about 10,500 rupees per day per hectare. One day, 1 hectare, 10,500. But when you pollute that lake, it is closer here only. You know, Ramachandra lake is here only, adjacent to this building. I don't know whether you have gone there. The early morning walk you can take, so that the adjacent to this building is the Ramachandra lake. And Amruthalli lake is downstream. Okay? It's highly polluted because of the distillery reserve. You know, 20 rupees per day per hectare. Now, who are the people who are affected when the lake is polluted? fishermen, washerwomen, and the farmers. Those are the people get affected. And who are people will pollute the lake? Elites like us. Sitting somewhere, we don't even worry about our sewage and solid waste, and we just pollute the system. Okay. Now the implication of that, the temperature when the land cover changes, how the lakes are disappeared. You see how the temperature in the region has changed. In 90s, what was 19 degrees? In 2000, it became 21 degrees Celsius. And in the 2010, it became 29 degrees Celsius. And today, 37 degrees Celsius. And to understand that the temperature dynamic, we move from the center of the city in 8 directions. You see, wherever lake or the parks are there, this is in urban area I am talking about. You see the temperature is 2 degrees lower. Which means this acts as the heat sink. The lake and the vegetation acts as a heat sink. Because of that you feel comfortable. Even my campus, you see that my campus, the temperature 2 degrees lower because we have about 45 to 50% the green cover in the region. Okay. Now let us see how the changes are happening in the Bangalore. Again using remote sensing data which is available from 70 onward, you can look at this analysis, spatial changes. 1973, 68% green cover. Okay, everywhere vegetation was there. The city was a garden city and aptly known as a pensioner's paradise because of the favorable climate. 92, we introduced the industrial areas in Pune and Koramangala. We see changes happening here. Okay, in 2000, the outskirts we see the IT, BT sector started coming, information technology, biotechnology, etc. You see changes have started happening there. The red are the buildings, okay? Green are the vegetation, blue is water body, yellow is the open space or agricultural land. Then 2006, intensification happened. 2010, further intensification happened. Now, when you look at from 1973 to 2019, red is increasing. Okay? So then, if you look at 2021, 85% of the Bangalore is concretized. Okay? 2022, if you look at 86%. If this trend continues, by 2025, 98% of the Bangalore will be concretized. If you look at the statistics from 1973 to today, there has been 1055% increase in concrete area. We lost about 88% of tree cover in the region and about 79% of the water bodies in the region. Now the implication of that is the city has become unlivable. Can you imagine in a region where there was abundant oxygen? Today we have to use oxygen cylinders. The elderly people use oxygen cylinders in the night. This is not during COVID period, even before COVID period. Okay? So that's where I've been telling the government, enough is enough. Let us decongest the Bangalore. Okay? Then let us look at the emissions. You want to give a break? You said 4 o'clock, no? Still 3 minutes. Now let us look at the sector-wise, emission. When we look at the emission, we have done the study across the 10 cities in the country, major cities. The cities where public transport is big, we saw that emission from the transportation sector is higher in those cities. For example, Hyderabad, contribution by transportation sector is as high as 54%. Bangalore is 45%. So because public transport is weak and inefficient. Now another thing is this architecture. How many of you like this architecture? This is a classic case of copy paste. Our architects are the civil contractors, civil engineers. When they go to European countries, the cool climate, they see this kind of architecture. They just copy that and paste it in a tropical climate like Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, etc. This kind of architecture is required for thermal comfort because outside is cool, you want to retain the heat inside. But in a tropical climate, you should not retain the heat. Then you have to use air conditioner like this. So now then we did a study to see what is the electricity, the consumption in the glass facade building versus the normal building. In the normal building, if the electricity consumption is about 750 to 1700 units per person per year, in this glass facade building it goes up to 14,000 to 17,000 units per person per year. 10 times higher electricity consumption, 10 times higher electricity means higher carbon emission. Higher carbon emission means you have more global warming. So that way this copy paste culture has contributed to the global warming of the region. This is again based on our sample survey, we have quantified it. Again there was a question in the parliament. Some of the women MPs, they read our published articles. Men don't do it. Pankaja Munde from Maharashtra and another lady from Andhra Pradesh. They raised this question in the parliament, saying this, there has to be restriction on the glass bazaar building, so that that electricity consumption can be brought down. But somehow we have a minister who always closes his ears. The Sardarji is there, his ears are always closed. So he won't listen to anybody. So that's where the changes has not happened. But we are still putting the pressure on the government. Okay. Now, the next part I will talk about how many trees are there in Bangalore. How did we do this quantification? Using GPS. We did the mapping in couple of wards. This is my campus. My campus is 400 acres. The global positioning system, I know the location of the tree.
There is a biological index mapping. There is one transfer diversity, how much industry.
Yeah, but I am a simple man. See, I will teach you in a simple way. See, because you are a high-flying officer, no? You will think about higher indices, okay? Let us not worry about it. See, my way of science is different, okay? But I communicate to people effectively. But I have calculated that indices also. That is for identifying the region that has to be conserved. Okay? Here the purpose is how many trees are there per person. Okay? So like this couple of wards we did the ground survey and we linked that with the remote sensing data. We got the spectral response pattern for the vegetation. Then using that as the training data, we did for the entire Bangalore with the highest spatial resolution data. Then we could delineate the trees in Bangalore, and this is the work of 4 months. Okay? Then we overlaid the boundaries of the ward. Then we know how many trees are there per ward. And since we had the population of the ward, we could calculate how many trees per person in each ward. Okay? Now the Bangalore has 1.5 million trees for a 9.5 million population. That means for every 7% there is 1 tree. You might ask, how many trees required per person? First question is, do we require trees? Yes. So you are a forest officer, naturally you will say the thing. This is what happens.
About 10 trees are required for 1 person.
How many?
10 trees for 1 person for entire years of season.
Okay, I will tell you the number. See, when all this has some, there are some incident happened. This is requested by the one of the officers in the pollution control board. He is the chairman of the board. When we were traveling together, he asked me a question: how many trees per person in Bangalore? I said, I do not know. If you give me the project, I will do it and tell you the number. I said. Then he gave a small grant of 1 lakh rupees. We did the study because remote sensing based analysis doesn't require much money. So only our brain is required. So we did the analysis and we gave the report in 4 months. And that is where we showed that Bangalore has the reverse pyramid. That is, for every 7%, 1 tree. Whereas for every person, 7 or 8 trees are required. That is mainly because we are all breathing. When we breathe, we give out carbon dioxide to an extent of 540 to 980 grams per person per day. So younger people 980 grams and elderly people 540 grams per person per day. And 1 hectare of tree sequesters the carbon to an extent of 6 to 8 tons per year. By that ratio, for every person 7 to 8 trees are required. But what we have in Bangalore is 7% 1 tree. Okay? Now, let me see whether this is a new this one or whether our literatures have talked about it. Then I looked at our scriptures. You know, Bible makes a mention about the nature conservation at least 320 times. I went to church. I see only people dancing there without understanding about nature. Okay? Then I looked at the Quran. Quran warns us of imminent war if you pollute the water. That's where, you know, if you go to Dargah, you have to wash your feet and fingers with the clean water before you enter Dargah. The good Dargah always has a well. You have to collect the water and you have to wash your feet and fingers before you enter the Dargah. Look at our literature. Masya Purana brings out so nicely about water, child and trees. You know, if you have well at home, you are wealthy. 10 wells are equal to 1 lake, 10 lakes are equal to 1 sarovar, 10 sarovar is equal to 1 child, 10 children are equal to 1 tree. You know, the benefit of having 10 children, you can get the same benefit by planting and nurturing a tree. As a forest officer, you would have done that wonderful job. Now I put it the other way. The person who cut the tree, every tree when he cuts, he or she cut, they are murdering their own 10 children. You know, that's how I write an article. You know, one of the forest officer from the Bangalore, you know, landed in my office about 2 years back. I had written an article in the media. So taking that article, he walked into my office. Normally when people come to my room, I don't speak to them immediately. I ask them to sit for a while. And I behave I am slightly busy, so that they settle down. And when I saw them, that gentleman had some tears in his eyes. I asked him, sir, what happened is my office is so bad for you. He said, your office is not bad, you are bad. Then I said, what happened? You said, you have written an article saying that every tree when we cut, we are murder of 10 children. Now I have to remove 179 trees on Jaimal Road. The government has asked me to remove. If I remove that, tomorrow you will write an article saying that I have murdered 1,790 children. If I don't remove it, then my wife and children will not have food because I will be sad. Now what is the solution? I told him, solution is there. Nearby there is a vacant land. Why don't you just start replanting, transplanting and take up the plantation drive? Bring some 200 saplings and you plant it there and you announce it. Then when he started doing it, the Bangaloreans started supporting that initiative. So that means if there is a sensible thing, people cooperate, okay? So now...
Okay, I don't remember much of the names of the...
No, my name is TVRAMACHANDRA.
about the places and all.
Okay.
But you were talking about the importance of lentils and millets and all that. I also remember it's very important because I'm a diabetic. And I'm mostly on a millet diet. I usually take a millet along with boiled rice, and that is my diet. So I'm more convinced of the importance of the variety of different food substances.
That's why you look smart. Now I want a smart
That is one very important thing which is learned from today's about the diversity of food substances and food diversity in our diet as well. That is what has been done. Bangalore being during olden days being the city for where many people, the retired people used to come and stay and reside. Now it has become very unlivable. And you were talking about your friend who had retired and had changed his diet into that. That is what is the thing that I can recollect with my experience.
After that I came to Bangalore.
Yeah. And after that, the situation slowly deteriorated in Bangalore. Now the area has become fully concretized. More than 80% of the area has been concretized. And there is a lesser number of green areas, as you can see from there. So 98.5% will be concretized by 2025. So this is something which is very alarming. And then also because of trees in Bangalore city. Earlier, I also vividly remember it was about nearly around 20 years back when we visited Bangalore during our training period. We had a tour of the South India, and I used to see a lot of trees, green trees, within the city also, while touring the city. But nowadays it seems to be definitely, it seems to be a little lesser. I have not been much to the interior or the inner city, but once in a while I used to visit Bangalore also. I used to see a change in the pattern of the growth of the city as well as the concretization and the separation of the trees in the city also. So this is one thing which is very alarming. I'm sure definitely the pollution level also will have definitely risen by now. So these are some of the things which are very important with your understanding, with your researches, with the satellite imagery about how the city is being affected by unplanned growth as well as the policy level decision which is not good for the city. So I'm sure definitely this is not only in Bangalore, but it is in all over the country.
Even there are will be. But I am going to launch soon Bangalore Bliss. Bliss is nothing but Bangalore Lakes Information System. I am fed up with the government. You know, if you go to government and say that they say that this is not there, that is not there, with the fragmented government. I thought let me put it and then shake the system so that conservation will happen. So that wetland will have the details of 193 lakes in Bangalore, which my student too, young girls have monitored the 193 lakes. That detail lake-wise we are going to put, even lake-wise encroachment detail we are going to put, and the biota, the algae, zooplankton and fish details, all those things we are going to launch it soon, okay? Now when we lose these lakes, what are the consequences? One is the floods and the water scarcity. You saw that how the lake lead to the depletion in the groundwater table from 600 feet, 60 feet to 600 feet to 1900 feet. And then finally no water. But where the water will be overland creating the flood, and this is the drought. Both happens in the same region. And you see that this is the picture from 2000 onward. Every monsoon we see this kind of thing happening with a loss of life. Very lucky people will leave Bangalore soon in this kind of floods. Okay? So then let us look at the other aspect. When the lake is clean, it looks like this. When the lake looks like this, green doesn't mean prosperity. This green is dangerous. This is an invasive weed. When they form a thick bed, it does not allow the sunlight to penetrate. In absence of sunlight, algae does not grow. Since algae is not there, zooplankton does not thrive, then you do not have small fish and large fish. Native species will disappear. So then what our people will do? They introduce the African catfish. To show the life in the lake, they introduce the African catfish, tilapia and all those things are there. They introduce that. These are all lung-breathing fish. Once in a while they pop up, they breathe and they go back. Okay? So now the lake which was like this, today it is like this. When the lake is like this, if you measure the water quality at the inlet and outlet, you will be surprised to see, even if you are leaving sewage at the inlet, at the outlet, the water is treated. That is, see, at the inlet, DO is 0, but outlet it is as high as 12. Okay? When the lake is covered like this, DO is 3 or 4 at outlet. That means lake does not do the job. Okay? Then, our glory of Bangalore, frothing and fire. Frothing, you all know why frothing happens. Frothing is an indication of an unhealthy system. When a person starts frothing, it means there is a problem with that person. When ecosystem itself starts frothing, that means that we have loaded the pollutant into the system. I have been telling the government that we need to bring restriction on the phosphorus used in the detergent. Phosphate is a limited resource. We do not have enough resource in the globe. And whatever resource is there, we require for medicine and fertilizer. But we are also using for the soap manufacture, etc. Okay? Then, I prepared a document on the phosphate, this one. and linking with the cropping happening in Yamuna and Bangalore lakes. Then Anand Kumar, who was the minister in the central, the late Anand Kumar, he took it forward. That today we have the norm on the restriction on phosphate use in the detergent sector. You know, for example, I was invited by Hindustan Liver. When I go there, they tell me they manufacture detergent without phosphate, but they send it to European market. But for our market, they dump the phosphate. So this is where see, to solve the problem of the cropping in lake, we need to treat the sewage. That means the sewage has the N and P. N, that is arginine. We all eat protein, that's how the N gets into the system. Phosphorus gets into the sewage, maybe because we use detergent to wash the cloth. So now N and P gets in, you have to remove that. So that is where liquid is required. And this fire is because of the oil getting into this one, effluent with the oil property. You know, what is the solution for this? The treatment. But what the Babus in Bangalore did, we do not feel bad. Sometimes when I use that word, it becomes more effective. So they are all your cousins only, our cousins only. You know what they did? They put the barricade. And they said that they have solved the problem of Bangalore cropping. You know, I wrote an article saying that this solution is for 4 days. In fact, the chief of that organization called me and said, we know that you are a critic, we have accepted you, but we have given solution to the Bangalore. I told him, sir, you wait for 4 days. As I predicted on the 4th or 5th day, Bob asked to tell who has done the foolish work. But one thing I didn't understand. You know, this costed money 2 crores. 50% of 2 crores, you know the number, no? That is what is their agenda. So, there's nothing else. So, they didn't want to solve the problem. Keeping the problem alive makes the bureaucrats happy. You know, they can use it as a milky cow. Okay? Now, other problems, you can see that, okay? See, one is concretizing the drains. See, I have prepared the report, I have given the reports to the government, as well as it has gone to the Supreme Court and all those things. You know, this drain, as per the cadastral map, is supposed to be 60 to 80 meters. But in the name of remodeling, they have made it 18 meters. You know, they narrowed it down. They concretized, they looted the money. Then, not only they are satisfied with that, they also helped the builders in the locality by narrowing the drain. Then the consequence of that was the Koramangala flood started happening. Then people asked me what is to be done. I said, this is the problem. Then what this municipality does, they put one more drain parallel to that drain. Again, another expenditure, another 50%. See, this is the level of corruption in my country. Okay? So now, how that corruption is also corrupting us, our body health also, let us try to understand. See, these are all the locations where the solid waste is dumped. You know? And also liquid waste. You know, people send it to the tanker. You know, we have a layout called HSDR layout, where only bureaucrats pay. IS officers and all will stay there. In the drain, in the night I see the truck load of the sewage industrial effluent is being left there. And the Bellanur lake is next to that. Finally it goes to the Bellanur lake. Then, you know, the lake water is used for growing the vegetables. You know, like pudina, then spinach, all those things, radish, and the carrot, etc. And also the green leaf, which is grown in the wheat in the lake, goes as a, this also goes as a fodder to the livestock. We collected milk sample and we collected all this vegetable and fish sample. And when we analyze, there is a heavy metal in all these things. You know, the presence of heavy metal will create the health havoc in the region. You know, that is evident in Bangalore in the form of cancer and kidney failure. See, brain failure has happened much earlier. The cancer and kidney failure is the latest thing. Kidney failure, which was 1 in 1 lakh about 20 years back, today is 1 in 5,000. And every ward we have the hospital with the dialysis unit. Our politicians go and inaugurate that. they show that, telling the world that Bangalore is dying with this problem. Okay? See, these are all the things, if people understand, then they will not do this mistake. Okay? Now this heavy metal getting into food chain has become and recently another government agency has come out with a report saying there is a heavy metal in the vegetable that is grown in the neighboring district. The sewage that is generated in the city is partially treated and given to the neighboring district. Okay? That has heavy metal also. And now the vegetable that is grown comes to the city. You all might be eating the vegetable, you continue to eat, don't feel bad, okay? Some heavy metal is good, but not too much, okay? So that is the reason. So, at that time, 2015, they had asked me about that project. I said, wastewater treatment is a good idea, but treat it completely, don't do the half job. But what suggestion I gave, they did implement it. They did 50% of that because that was implemented by Mafia. The pipe fellows, they are keen on putting the pipe down the ecological solution. In the process, the treated water partially landed in Kolar and other districts, and the frothing started happening. If you do the Google search, 2015 I had told the government, even the press, that if the government doesn't treat it properly, what is happening in Belangur and Vattur Lake, the frothing and all will happen in Kolar. Now the last month when frothing happened, people have quoted that, my statement, saying that in spite of this kind of caution by the scientists, our government has not done the job. Okay? So now when this kind of science is done, the next is also there is a hope. When we did this study of Belangur and Vattur Lake, we prepared a report saying that what is the contamination level and what needs to be done. The needs to be done is rejuvenation. Naturally, rejuvenation of the lake involves one major component is desilting. So the desilting is a massive exercise. When I pushed for the desilting, rejuvenation of the lake, some of my critics started telling TVR is going to create a traffic problem in the city. Okay? Then, that is a challenge for us. So what I did was, since I was in the NGT committee, I told that locally we will use this silt. We did the analysis of Vattur silt and also the silt from Belangur Lake. The one part of Belangur Lake has some heavy metal. The other part doesn't have. Similarly, the Vattur Lake doesn't have any silt because Vattur is a downstream of Belangur Lake. So it didn't have, because Belangur Lake acts as a wetland. By the time it goes to the Vattur, in the next 2 kilometers, it is getting treated. So we did the quantification. We found that about 11 million cubic meter of silt is there in these two lakes. Then I thought, if I want to tell the government, if I say 11 million cubic meter, they will not take it seriously. I said in economic terms, if I convert this into bricks, it is worth 1,500 crores. Then also in terms of nutrient I mentioned. One of my students said, NPK, the N, what is there in the lake, is sufficient to fertilize the soil in Punjab. If I look at P, it can fertilize soils in the Uttar Pradesh. And potash, if I look at, it can fertilize soil in Andhra Pradesh. And if you give the economic value to that, it comes 15,000 crores. Then all the media highlighted that my report, 15,000 crore worth silt in Bangalore Lake. So then people started thinking then in the meanwhile, what I did is I had a meeting with the local farmers. I told them that there is no heavy metal, and I asked the pollution control board also to do the analysis. It concurred with our report. Once in a while it happens. Okay? So then since I was in NGT, I could exercise my power there. So then we convinced the farmers. Then after 3 months, I visit that Belangur Vattur Lake regularly. It's under rejuvenation now. Even I was part of Rachinalli and the Chakkur Lake rejuvenation also. So then, when I visited the farmers, this is the kind of crop they had grown. They had a bumper crop. And they said, each farmer tells me, per acre, they had earned 1.5 lakh additional benefit because they were not using fertilizer, because this seed was rich in the nutrient, there was no need for the fertilizer. Second thing is because of the nutrient.
Heavy metal seal?
Sorry?
What about heavy metal seal?
Heavy metal not in Vattur Lake. Because Velantur Lake is the upstream has done the job of treating, Vattur didn't have the difference. So it is a downstream lake. Okay? So that is what. Then, when I went there, they treated me very well actually. They felt that, 1.5 lakh in one season of 3 months. All these are the seasonal crop. In a year thrice they grow. 1.5 into 3 per acre. 7.5. I have given this seed to 400 acres. You can see the worth of that. So that is the kind of the thing, these are all the data from the local farmers, okay? Then, now I will come to the last part of my talk, the energy. If you come to my institute, above my lab, you will see the solar panel. What we preach, we practice. Okay? Let us see how we did this study to assess the potential of solar or the wind, etc. My journey started in the era when there are a lot of critics were. When I was talking about solar energy, there are a group of people saying 130 days in Bangalore is cloudy. How can you have this solar program in Bangalore? That is the kind of thing. To counter that, we did the analysis of it. First we looked at what is the per capita energy consumption. Every time people say per capita energy consumption should go up if the country has to progress. GDP will go up if you, but if some dumb fellow is sitting and keeping everything on without doing anything, how can the GDP will go? The consumption is not an indicator of the prosperity. So we saw that energy consumption per person is low in our country. That is good. But you look at the energy per GDP. The energy spent for manufacturing a product was the 1 GDP. You look at that, you will see we are 14 times higher than Switzerland and 12 times higher than the Japan or 10 times higher than the US. That means we are inefficient to that extent. See, our investment should have been on the energy conservation. In each sector we have a scope to conserve energy to an extent of 28 to 42%. When I did auditing of industry, I noticed in metallurgical industries about 42% you can conserve the energy. So that's where,
Do you measure this energy intensity?
Do you?
You measure this energy intensity?
Yeah. Because these are all the data.
What do you mean by energy intensity?
Energy per unit of GDP. That is we call it as energy intensity or specific energy consumption. At industry level we say per unit of product. Suppose you are manufacturing brick. Per brick, what is the energy used? It is per specific energy consumption or energy intensity. Okay. So then let us look at what is the share of renewable and the difference. See, when you look at Karnataka, you will see more than 50% we still use the traditional source of energy, fuel wood and other things. And commercial source is about 45 or 48%. And the renewable energy started penetrating into our system. Today at the country level about 12% we have the renewable energy share. So now if you want to assess solar energy, what is the best way to do it? You need to have pyrometer to assess the radiation. Okay. At every weather station at district headquarters, you will get 1 point data. That is only the data available. But we have the synthesized data, which is available at 1 degree by 1 degree resolution at NASA website. Okay. You might ask, what is the accuracy of that? First, we collected that data, okay, and converted that into the global radiation, and then compared with the surface measurement. At that particular location where surface measurement is done, we compared that data. We found that variability is less than plus or minus 5%. That means this data what is available at NASA or at the Climate Research Unit at UK you can use it for assessing the potential of the region. Now when you look at this, the variation across the month, you will see only 1 month in a year has the resource potential space. That means solar energy is available throughout the year except 30 or 32 days. 30 or 32 days is okay, it's not a serious thing. Okay? Then we did the analysis for the entire country. You know, this is for the entire country. I published an article called Hotspot for Solar Potential. This is a paper in 2009. You know, based on that, country solar program was formulated. So that is how the science gets into the policy making. And you know, that is the time when people started looking at the renewable energy. And of course, after 2014, it has become it got further boost, solar energy. This is the article which I published in the international journal. Okay. Now this is the solar energy potential. You see, almost the entire country has the resource. You know, even the Himalayan belt. When I go to Ladakh, I saw 25 megawatt solar power station at Gandhi. You know, where the telescope projects are there. So that means throughout the country we have the potential. If we can harvest it, that is the best thing. See, even under eco development program, if you can have this, you are doing so that people don't have to use the other source of energy for their livelihood. Okay, this gives the solar power, and then this gives the wind. So I started my journey at village level, then district level, then I went to the entire state, then the country level. Okay, so then if you look at the solar energy, which is weak during July, but look at the wind. This is how the nature function. When one is weak, it is compensated by other resources. Now hybridizing the solar with the wind is the best solution. So that you have the energy throughout the year, and these are the technologies. You know, when we started talking about the technology, people said, where is the land? Then I thought, okay, let me do the mapping of the rooftop. You know, every house requires about, in the rural area, about 100 units or 150 units. That means to generate 150 units, you need 150 square feet. Now, when I did the mapping in the range, every house is about 800 to 1200 units, the square feet. That means there is sufficient space is there. Okay. Then, of course, I also pushed the government of Karnataka to introduce to make to give the incentive-based generation. That means you generate electricity, feed it to the grid, then you are paid the money. I had suggested 3 rupees 50 paisa, but then the government, I was in the committee because when I was presenting this, one of the officers told me I should communicate to the government official like you were saying, effective. Then I asked that person, the lady told me, you just translate this into local language and give it to the government. I just translated the document into the Kannada, gave it to the government through her, and she took it to the government. You know, she was the urban secretary, and then the renewable energy committee was constituted. At that time, I was a member of the committee. I introduced that incentive-based generation. You know, all these organizations which had this 20 or 25 years, the MOU, they are beneficiary. Even this building is a beneficiary of that. You know, we have solar energy here. There is the incentive based thing. Now, of course, that incentive has come down to 2 rupees 32 paisa or something like that. Okay. Now let's look at the bioenergy potential. I am answering the questions what you asked. How do you assess the thing? Okay. Now the solar, the bioenergy, you will find out the residues from the forest, agriculture, and the livestock sector. Okay. So now the bioenergy for that land use analysis you will do, then find out above ground and the cropping season what is the residue available. From this, how much energy you get as a fallen branches, etc. You need to quantify that. Okay. Then also at the other end, you know the livestock population. You know what is the dung available per animal, per the whatever that variety. Then based on that, you can say what is the biogas potential for that particular village. Okay. So then we quantify bioenergy from all these sectors. Okay. Livestock, agriculture, horticulture, forest, plantations. Okay. Then this is the method which I explained just now. So now let me take you to one of the districts where we did a detailed study, Uttar Kannada district. See, to quantify the bioenergy, which included our other ecological investigation also, flora and fauna. We divided district into 9 km by 9 km grid, and we selected a grid so as it represents the agroecological zone, agroclimatic zone. You know, this is coastal, this is Saharian hilly terrain, this is a plain. These are the grids we chose for the field investigation. We put the transact with quadrant, 20 meter by 20 meter for tree, 5 meter by 5 meter for shrub, and 1 meter for herb. There are 4 herb quadrant, 2 shrub quadrant, and 1 tree quadrant. Then we leave 20 meter gap, and again we put it. Till we reach the saturation, we do this quadrant map. Okay, this I think you all will follow that. Then if we come across any stream, we also monitor the stream for the hydro production as well as the aquatic diversity, etc. That's how we did the effort, and the above biomass, etc. we quantified. Okay. Now, see, in a way we are lucky because the French Institute had prepared the vegetation map way back in 1988. We know what kind of vegetation types are there, evergreen, deciduous, etc. Now the current remote sensing data gives me the I can link this with the remote sensing data, and we go to the field and we carry out this field investigation. You know, then the land use analysis we do for the region. This gives how the land cover is changing. See, this district has a distinction of having highest forest cover in the country, as high as 80%. Even in this district, I see degradation happening. See, now, if you want to see evergreen forest, which was the 67% in 1973, has come down to 32% in 2030. And today it's about 29%. And degradation is still happening. Okay? So this is the level of degradation. Even the last week when we were in the field, I saw in the so-called National Park Sanctuary region, people have cut the trees, evergreen species. So this is how they see. When I have to enter, our friend will not allow me to go. He will ask whether you have got the permission and all. But looters can go and loot the thing. So that is the unfortunate part. But I got the permission and I have gone there with the permission. Okay? So now, look at 1973. Entire district brings out. Okay? Then 1989. I have lost this and this is in 89. Okay? This is 99. Okay? This is 2010. 2013. Okay? And if you look at, then based on that we have calculated what is the forest biomass, and also since we had done the land use and supplemented with the agriculture data, we could find out what is the residue available. Similarly, we have the horticulture. Now I have covered at the village level what are the residues available, because in Karnataka we are rich in data. See, as we are rich in culture, we are also rich in data. And probably in the entire country, our state is in the forefront as far as the data generation and the result. And to some extent we are responsible. For example, the village layer, the spatial layer is available in Karnataka to the public, which is not possible in other states. When I was doing studies in Goa, getting the spatial layer was not easy. Here in the Karnataka State Remote Sensing Application Center, they generate, they just put it. I am also in the council and I see that things take a shape. And today to some extent we are taking this spatial data for the decision making. And we also did the survey of around 2,500 households to find out what is the demand. And our study shows that 81 to 89% of sample depends on bioresources. That means 89% of the 2,500 households use bioresources, fuel, etc., the animal residues. And 70 to 78% still use traditional stuff. If you go to the Honavar, you will see our tribal people still using the 3-stone cow, etc., which is energy guzzler. Okay? If we can shift to the energy efficient cow, we can reduce the fuel consumption by 27 to 42%. Because we have designed the stove, even in this institute you will see the fuel efficient stove based on the principle of convection radiation. So you can save the fuel wood. That is what should happen. See, when people are using the fuel wood, if you want to bring down the fuel wood consumption, best way is to introduce this fuel efficient chulas, etc. Okay? So then we took the ratio of resource availability to the demand. So if the resource availability to demand is more than 1, that means you have surplus resources. That's what you will see, that in all these villages you have the surplus resources. And these blue are the ones where the scarce resources. Now you know that in which villages you need to have the clear they were applied or the scarcity is there. As a forester you can identify the villages where there is a scarcity. Not only that, you look at how the degradation of forest also leads to the erosion in the availability of bioenergy. See, this ratio was earlier as high as 9, 8 and 9. Today the highest is about the 2. You know, we lost 35 to 38% of forest cover. We led to the 38% decline in the bioenergy also. So then we looked at the biogas at the village level based on the livestock and the residue availability, what is the biogas you can generate. I would suggest the government that they should allow the biogas program only in those villages where the resource is available. See, unfortunately, you know, in one of the drier districts, they claim that they have done this lot of biogas program. And you know, our audit department requested me to do the auditing of that. When I did the audit, right, they gave me a list of 18 beneficiaries of the biogas. I went there with that list to find out what is the working condition of those biogas plants. Not even that plant is installed. Not even one house. You can imagine what level this inefficiency in the system. Okay? So that is where we have recommended to choose those villages where the sufficient potential is available, which is directly proportional to the dung availability in the region. Okay? Now, at the country level also, we try to look at what is the bioenergy potential, you know, from the agriculture residue as well as the biogas. Now, for example, this bed, you know, the pollution, every time our fellows will say stubble burning is good. But there is technology to convert that into bioethanol, etc., or methanol, etc. But unfortunately, we have not moved to that. Okay, to the extent we should have done. Okay. Now, once you have done the resource mapping, next is how to do the implementation of that. We develop the decision support system. You require energy for this heat, electricity motors, this is motive power, and you have the lighting. These are the primary requirements at home. Then what are the resources available? We have done a mapping. Then we develop this is the back end of the decision support system. What kind of data that is available in the decision support system at the demand level and the resource level. And also the user can visualize that this one and reports are available. Okay? And this is what we have developed. This is almost about the 15 years back I did this. Okay? So, and now today we are looking at the microgrid, you know, so that each the decentralized energy generation and utilization will happen. You know, you should not think about generating electricity from one place and take it to the another place because CFP losses are high. So instead of that, microgrid will help. So that is where decentralized electricity generation through the renewable energy like solar, wind, etc. are the beneficial to us. Now today we are looking at the arc. You know, when I talk about wetlands, that is where the link between energy and wetland comes. Okay, so you know these are diagrams. These are attached to the pebbles in the water body, etc. Or even in your the bathroom wet flow, spray flow, when it is slightly slippery, you can collect the sample and analyze it under the microscope. You will be surprised to see this kind of architecture. These are diagrams. Okay. Now you see the various shapes. Nature is creating this every hour, you know, the second time is 3 or 4 hours. You know, within 4 hours the life cycle ends there. Okay. So that means there is a lot of potential for converting that into the bioenergy. Okay. Now we have taken the microalgae. These are the eukaryotic organisms. Okay. And they lack the 2 roots, stems and the leaves and the specialized reproductive structure. And one of the thing is that it has got the pigment which has a cosmetic value. So when you talk about biofuel the generation, you can also keep in mind the biorefinery with the value added product like cosmetics, etc. Then about 30,000 to 1 million algal species are there throughout the globe, and only 0.5% of the reported species were explored. That means there is still a lot of work is there. Now what is this? See, this is the oil gland. This is the oil we extract and convert that into biodiesel. So when you see that this is the lipid river, and diatoms can make about 10 to 200 times oil per hectare compared to oil seeds. So that way they are highly beneficial. Okay. So then we have looked at the species wise. What is the kind of composition is the oil lipid content? In Inglina it is 24%, then Spirogyra it is 18%. So, okay. Now how do you get that? First is you should know what species are there. Okay. Then after that, you have the two steps. One is each has a thick layer of the thing. You need to break that cell. Okay, then only you can get the oil. So after breaking the cell, then you will have the transcodification to convert oil into biodiesel, okay, which has a higher chemical value. So now at that stage, you will see that we have used it. See, this stage of transcodification, people use the chemicals. I felt that as an ecologist, I should not use the chemicals. I asked my student to look at the possibility of biochemistry. This some of these lipid fungi, which has that property, we use that for transcodification. So now today I was talking about refining at the field level. This is in the Uttar Kannada. In one of the aquaculture pond, we tried to see that what is the kind of the potential we can have from the result. We did the LCA of that also. So these are the summary of what I said so far. Okay. And when you look at this, see the potential of the thing, what people have seen is, planktonic is about 15%, that means, the floating one, and people have explored about 13.8, okay? Whereas the attached one is about 85%, 6.8 only the people have explored. That means there is a lot of scope for it. See, where will you see the attached one? For example, rivers. The flowing rivers and all these things you will have attached one. In the lake and now you will see more of the stagnant water body, you will see more of the planktonic okay. So then we looked at where all the species are there, and each of the estuary we did the mapping.
From diatoms, then how the biofuels will
No, diatoms I showed that, no? See, this oil is there, no? This is the cell coating. You have to break the cell, then the oil will come out. Okay? Then that oil is converted to diesel through the transcodification. That means you will have the higher temperature and pressure to convert that into the diesel with the properties of the diesel. Okay? That is what I talked about in these things. Okay? So now, see, this is the various estuaries across the thing. We compile the information. See, when you talk about this kind of technology, commercial viability comes into the picture, which can happen only if you have the. Sir, I going to switch off the TV. You want two more? How much should I give you? Can you give yours first? No, I use this. When I see people running with the mobile and all, it's not correct actually. See, these are the species in various estuaries we have and this gives the species composition. We have recorded 85 species in the Uttar Kannada. Okay. So then we also looked at the macroalgae. Microalgae, which you have to see through the microscope. Whereas macroalgae, you can see them growing in the ocean, the estuaries, etc. These are all you would have seen on the rocky surfaces, these kind of plants you would have seen. These plants are rich in starch, carbohydrate. Whereas that one, microalgae is rich in lipid, oil. Okay. Now, since this is rich in carbohydrate, the best option for this is to convert this into ethanol. So that is where we looked at what are the species that are there, and globally where all the species, what kind of species are there being mapped. Then we did the biochemical characterization of that to find out what kind of sugar is there. Naturally they have polished sugar. You have to break that and make it simple sugar. Then once you have simple sugar, then you convert that into the ethanol through the fermentation. Like you manufacture alcohol, similar thing you do the fermentation. See, at that time, see, one of contribution from my student is I asked her to explore the new yeast strains so that we can have a better ethanol, the efficiency wise, which can do both the job of converting the polished sugar into simple sugar and fermentation. We looked at that the simultaneous the process. That is where whichever place I traveled, I used to go to a fruit shop, buy fruit and bring it to my lab. So that's where 100 fruit. That's when we looked at what kind of yeast strains are there. Okay, how we can convert that into the. See, you all would have eaten dosa idli kind of thing, at home. When you just take black gram, you grind it with rice, and you keep it, keep it in the next day morning it gets fermented. From where this microorganism has come? Have you thought about it? See, that is how the nature does the job. No, not from the.
Sugar.
See, if there are elderly people, knowledgeable elderly ladies at home, they will say, use a black drum with a coat. That layer is rich in the microorganisms. Yeah, that husk is there, no? That the black gram with the husk, that is very good. Actually, if you make the dosa idli out of it, it becomes very smooth actually. In the city population, because city fellows don't have this brain, no? They look what is white is good and all those things. That is what happens, okay? So that is what that is where the microorganism does a wonderful job of the fermenting that. Okay. Now to what I said so far, see, we collect the sample from the field, we dry that, we do the characterization, look at the poly sugar, then convert that poly sugar into simple sugar through the hydrolysis, then convert that simple sugar into the ethanol through the fermentation. This is the simple thing. Now the same analogy, instead of this fresh biomass, we are trying to use on agriculture residues. During COVID, Uttar Pradesh was successful in converting the bagasse into the ethanol. When country wanted the ethanol, the UP supplied that. Okay, so
10% petrol is mixed with it.
now the blended thing is happening. Okay, these are some of the species of this one. You can see the green ones are there, red ones are there. Accordingly, their groups are named like chlorophyta, etc. Rhodophyta, Epiphyta. Okay. Then this gives the species occurring throughout the thing. See, when you talk about technology, the success can happen only if you have the scope for scaling up and replication. That is where you should find out when you work on particular species. We also look at where all this can be there. Tomorrow commercially if you are doing it, then you should be able to do it in those places. Or at least you can have a tie-up with those countries and those fellows so that they can also manufacture. Okay? So this is the kind of species thing in India. Okay? Now I am in the last part of my presentation.
We spoke about energy conservation and sustainable development and per capita energy consumption, which is very low in India, whereas GDP, energy for producing GDP is very high, and we are inefficient in energy use. And we also spoke about solar and wind energy.
Okay, we will ask the next officer. Yes, sir.
And then about bioenergy analysis of Uttar Kannada Wetland. There we about 1,500 households were surveyed. There 70 to 80% still use bioenergy resources. Then we learned about third generation of biofuel.
Okay, let Madam get it.
Sir, we're talking about third generation biofuel, where we're talking about biotones, where we can extract lipids from biomes, and also about the macro and algae, which is stars and fungi, we can convert into different.
There is something left in between about the solar and wind energy. So we studied solar potential and wind potential in the country as well as here in the state, and we came to the conclusion that due to the seasonal variation of the renewable energy, so solar and wind energy simultaneously in a building would give sustainable energy throughout the year.
So before that, we have to discuss about the disappearing of the wetland in the Bangalore and do the comparison and the various studies and about the problem of trapping and drainage damages that is taking in the Bangalore.
Then we have discussed about the energy conservation pattern and how the wetlands can be a solution for future energy needs. So we are discussing about the microalgae, which can be the source of biodiesel, or like macroalgae, which can be the solution for the protection of bioethanol need of it. So you are explaining about all that, like how it will be sustainable down to, and we have mapped all the apart from this, you are discussing about like how this process, how we are going next step. This was discussed. Yeah.
We were talking about how energy can be the linkage between energy and wetland and how they are the sustainable biofuels in the future. Thereafter, you told us about the classification of energy based on their pigments, and you also talked about how we can make diagrams and biofuels.
Other renewable sources of energy. Before shifting, we need to have a comprehensive analysis of the availability and the demand. Then only we will be able to chart out a detailed plan, like where the solar will be useful, where bioenergy will be useful, and then we can use the combination of all the.
So just to share an experience, sir, we have been working on this clean air pollution project, sir. So we had this problem of identifying where to put the biogas plant, because lot of in Uttar Pradesh, especially there is lot of dependence on fuel wood and cow dung cakes. So we also had this kind of criteria that where are the number of livestocks located. So that was one of the key parameters in identifying.
So what did you learn from this?
Sir, like lot of things, this identifying what could be the potential, how to identify potential. Also learn about lot of this lake encroachment and what is its impact. What is the impact of industrial pollution on the lake and nearby this heavy metal pollution, the heavy metal in the milk, in the vegetables. So sir, like if a lake is a treated lake and the water is flowing and it is not covered with this water hyacinth, what is the level of ecosystem services it can give? Otherwise, comparing it with the water that is affected, how it is not able to treat water. Also, sir, like focusing on what this energy conservation, like we are one of the inefficient economies when it comes to energy efficiency. So how it has to be improved. So it was a lot of good learning experiences.
So towards the end, we were just studying about the microalgae and how the third generation biofuels. You explained the entire process of how from biomass you move to dry biomass and then through the process of fermentation, you finally get into the fuel part, which is the ethanol. Initially, as mentioned by Pranav also, we had also discussed about the heavy metal accumulation, and another great learning from the entire lecture right now has been the transmission of science into policy. Though probably not to your satisfaction, but in a lot of cases, as you mentioned,
I am satisfied.
in a lot of decision support systems like the tools that you've created, and that has definitely had a positive impact on a lot of the policy decisions that have been taken. That is a very good linkage that is visible in how research is being transmitted into actions on the ground.
Sir, apart from this, we also highlight about how the destruction of these wetlands is offsetting, affecting or directly affecting our health systems, like we are getting more diseases and all. And
no, when we pollute the wetland, it gives us that problem. Not wetland per se.
Due to pollution of the wetlands and due to industrial activities, so many chemicals are entering there directly. Their headquarters being used for vegetable growing or its entering our body, and how it is, how to come out of this, how to treat that. So these were problems.
So you gave good comparison about the Bangalore wetlands, how they were during 1800 and now how they are. The comparison you gave and the importance of wetlands and to restore this wetlands, so what are the measures we have to take, the importance and the sustainability about this wetlands.
Sir, you have told about wetlands of Bangalore, how they are disappearing. You have compared 18th century to 20th century. Temperature is rising 20 degree. Temperature is rise 7 times. Wetlands are losing 35 times. Water is losing. Water depth is going to up to 600 feet. So you have made a concrete plan of this, how they are polluting and how cure may be done. So how vegetables are growing, how potash and NKP agriculture farmers are using. So you have told us a complete management plan of Bangalore wetlands, how they are disappearing, how regeneration and every activities done. We have done a lot, sir.
About the bioenergy and the inventory mapping, where the whole area can be divided into different grids, and then after 20 meters we can measure the herbs, shrub and trees. And I think we can replicate this in our field condition. I think in case of Uttar Kannada district you represented, sir.
No, we are doing it recently. We did it in Goa.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I think we can implement this in our places.
That's the standard protocol.
You mentioned about the win-win situation or scientifically restoring these lakes. You were mentioning that with these two lakes we can meet the needs of nitrogen for Punjab and phosphorus for UP. I have a question, sir. Do we have a technique whereby we can extract these two compounds and instead of
Even before that, you use that silt. You have recovered the N and P. That's what farmers
no, sir. It was a very local transportation we could manage. Can we convert that into again, fertilizer bags and send it to different parts of the country? That would be a big thing.
Actually, what I was trying to highlight there is that nutrient value of that. See, you should not think from the large scale commercial angle.
Yes.
Each village has a pond. If you do the desilting of the pond, that nutrient is sufficient for the village agricultural land for the next 2 years. You should not think about taking the silt from your village and giving it to my village. Then transportation cost,
yes,
it won't be economically viable.
Yes.
See, actually when you look at the economic viability, as a researcher I am satisfied because my report on Balandur and Vattur lake, Supreme Court penalized government of Karnataka 500 crores. That money is kept in escrow account. Now that money is given to us for rejuvenation of the lake. Otherwise the jokers were telling that there is no money for rejuvenating the lake. So that is what happens, okay? So if that kind of thing happens at local level, we are very happy.
Sir, one more query I have, sir. Of late, sir, many of the big, companies like Wetlands and all that coming up with the bioenergy plants. Sir. So what I heard is it's the upcoming kind of thing. So if you could throw some light on that.
It is based on this principle of the using agriculture residue. Yes, sir. They are in touch with us.
Yes. Is it biogas or it is something else?
No. Like I showed that algae to the ethanol, no? Ethanol or the diesel.
Yes.
That is the thing. Now from agriculture residue, they want to convert that into ethanol.
Ethanol.
Yeah.
Recently,
And
they have
also
set up
from
a very big factory in Jorhat for bamboo based.
bamboo based, yes, that's true.
The bamboos are taken from Bangladesh.
They are taking the whole catchment of Assam, right from Assam, Nagaland and all northeastern states. So that's a very, very, very big.
No, because bamboo is rich in carbohydrate. Again, ethanol is rich in ethanol. Yeah. Please pass.
Okay, just because much of the things which we have discussed have been said, I just want to ask one thing. I think in one of the South Indian states, encroachment of the lakes has been penalized and it is criminalized.
Yes.
I think in which
It is in Bangalore only.
in Bangalore.
The same place which I showed that concretizing the thing.
Okay.
You know that between two lakes, Agara and Belandur lake, there was a wetland. Okay, that chief minister under single window clearance gave it for SEZ. Then the fellows who took for SEZ, they enclosed 3.5 acres of lake. Then local people alerted me and I prepared a report and I gave to them. They took it to the Supreme Court. Then the judge asked, what is the economic value of this damage? Then I said, how much slip they have put, how much ecologically it has affected, and what is the removal of that, what is the kind of thing, whether we can remove and recover the thing, and what is the cost of the thing. Then I was telling my students, I am going to give twice the number. If it is 150 crore, I will show 300 crore, because in India everything is 50% only. So as I predicted, I gave some 330 crores as the ecological damage. The court penalized the builder 149 crores.
You should have put 4 times, sir. 50 or 50 and 50 or 50.
No, you should not be over ambitious. So that is the 149 crores. Then these fellows went to the Supreme Court saying that this man is against builders, referring to me. And then Supreme Court Constitutional Committee, I was a member of the committee. When I went there, I was attacked and my GPS and all were taken away from my team and all those things happened. Then still I gave a report what I wanted to the court. Court said you have to pay the penalty, but they are not satisfied. They again made appeal. Then the court constituted a committee with me as a chair. You can imagine what it is. So when I went there, all those security guards were almost twice my height. So they thought that I will be frightened. But I just walked around, I collected the data which I already had. Then I told them that today that builder is undergoing loss in Bangalore. You know, he was in prison. See, that's what I always tell. When you hurt anybody who is doing for society, naturally you will pay for it. See, even the politician who was against my reason of giving the clean water to Kolar, you know, he discussed in the assembly 2 days about me, my credential, my integrity, all those things. Then finally, he lost in the election, last election. So the message is, if anyone does anything to the nature, nature knows how to handle it. That's all. That is the hope, that's how we work. Okay.
Yeah, that's
Basically, Ecological Services Act, as much you have quantified, it will go a long way to help the forest ecology. This is the main thing. And what you have suggested, the local solution of everything, that is the key for our service and things like that. This is the basic thing. We should work for it and we should implement in our thing. If we can, basically.
You can. I show you how to do it. Okay. If you are a good officer, sincere officer, you can replicate all that thing. If you are not, then you can give excuses. So, now, I will share what we have done. Apart from doing science, which is also quite satisfying to us. Okay. See, one is our technology. In the adjacent, Jaipur Lake. See, Jaipur Lake, in 2005, my report shows Jaipur Lake and surrounding area, there were 25 wells were there. Okay. All these wells and Jaipur Lake water had nitrate. Nitrate is a carcinogen which introduces cancer. Why nitrate in the borewell? Because people are letting the untreated sewage. As it moved towards the wells, it became oxidized. The sewage has N, nitrogen, which got oxidized and nitrate. Now that has to be removed. So I pushed the government to treat the rejuvenate the lake, and naturally the government constituted a committee. I was a member of the committee. Then government said that we do not have money. We have money only for secondary treatment. You know, the wastewater treatment has 3 levels: primary, secondary, and tertiary. Primary treatment will remove large particles. Secondary treatment will remove the chemical ion. Tertiary treatment will remove the nutrient. Now the problem is because of the nutrient, the nitrate. So the government idea of putting only secondary treatment plant will not solve the problem. So then I said that I will incorporate the constructed wetland and all that. This was my intervention. You know, after implementing this, last 10 years we have monitored the lake, and this report is available online. And this is a very popular thing throughout the country and in the globe. You know, people recognize this technology as IISC technology. Some people who know me, they say TVR technology, like that. And today, surrounding this lake, there are 300 wells. None of the wells have nitrate. That means at least my science is giving clean water to those 300 well users. This is what has to be replicated throughout the country. You know that Ganga Clean Action Program, I had suggested the same thing. But some part they have implemented, some part there are gaps. Okay? Now,
what role is being played by the algal pond? See,
this will take away N. Algae are efficient sequesters of
that will
phosphorus.
take away nitrogen.
This takes away the major part of N, okay, and the small part of P. Whereas this takes away the large part of P and small part of N.
Okay.
See, that's a complementary thing, okay? So, now, see the solution to the Bangalore also. See, for example, Bangalore receives the rain of 700 to 850 millimeter. If you harvest the rainwater, you have 15 TMC of water. Bangalore requires 18 TMC of water. That means 70% of the water can be met through the rainwater harvesting. What is the best option? Everyone having rooftop harvesting is one. That house will have 4 to 5 months water. The second best is through the lakes. Rejuvenate the lake, retain the rainwater. Okay? Then the second option, if you are using 18 TMC of water, you are also treating 18 TMC of wastewater. If you treat it similar to Jaipur model, you have 16 TMC of treated water. That means 15 TMC of rainwater plus 16 TMC, 31 TMC, which is a surplus situation. That's where, you know, the government, when it was harping on Mekedatu, you know, I just wrote to the government, Mekedatu project, which is closer to Bangalore, will remove 5,000 hectares of forest. 5,000 hectares of forest is doing a hydrological service of storing 100 TMC of water, which is doing naturally without anybody investing. For storing 65 TMC of water, why do you want to remove natural reservoir of 100 TMC? And second thing is ecological services of the thing, and net present value of that region is 1,000 billion rupees. Why do you want to sink 1,000 billion rupees by spending 5,000 crores? You know, these are the things. You know, sometimes, you know, my government is not very happy with my statement, but my neighbor state, they feel that since they saw TV in my initial, they think that T means Tamil Nadu. They are quoting me as their savior. So that's how the things are there. See, my agenda is not to allow that 5,000 hectares. I don't know these officers in Karnataka whether they have spinal cord. You have to tell me that. I say it's a pristine moral or deciduous species. Okay, next part. Okay, see, this is the lake I have created in the campus, which we use it for biofuel experiment. Okay, not only the students are happy, even I have otter. I don't know from where it has come. And if otter is there, he is a voracious eater of fish. I don't go and take fish and give it to them. But nature has created. When we did biodiversity mapping, you see algae, zooplankton, fish. That means nature knows how to maintain the balance. Our job is only to facilitate, and nature creates the system. And when I meet people, I also make them to think. You know, this gentleman from a drier district in Karnataka, 2014-15, no water in his taluk. He is a saint, okay, but still he could create a water. So then when I was traveling in a district, because media carried my travel plan, he contacted me. Then I said that, okay, I can meet in the 9 o'clock in the night. So he agreed for that. After that I spoke to him for 1 hour. Then he said, I have 12 acres of land. When he said 12 acres of land, I told my student, oh, great, let us do something. We did the survey in land next day, because we carry all the gadgets when we travel, including our brain. So then we gave a report to him saying where is the lowest point, how much water he can catch and store, and what are the species to be planted. You know, within, I gave a report in the May 1st week of 2016. I told him June 5th is going to rain. So if you do it, then the next monsoon you will have the water. And he did it in 15 days. When there is a first rain, he shares the photograph. And in the meanwhile, I convinced him to do the desilting of the lake. There were 32 lakes in that taluk. He said it's impossible for him to desilt all the lakes. Then I told him, you do 1 or 2, then we publicize. Then as I predicted, because he did 2, his followers did Shramadhan, and all the 30 lakes in the taluk was desilted. Now last year was a scarce rainfall in that region, but this particular taluk did not face the water crisis. Now what is the hope in our country? The best thing is have the water bodies. You know, your wild animals also survive, your the people's requirement is also met. And when I see the success is because of the youth, this man is also young, and the large number of college students, engineering science college were there. And CEO of that college also is quite young. Then I convinced that fellow to create a water body in his campus. You know, he created a water body which can store the 25 lakh liters of water. And they took up the planting of native species in the tree. And when I visit, I go quite often as a guest faculty. You see the next year, greenery with the water. To put it on the lighter side, none of you are in this age group. See, this gentleman, when he met me, he was alone, the bachelor. You know, after creating the water body, he got a partner to take care of the entire family. Now, getting a right partner is also a challenge these days. So that is what, see, when you do the work like this, if you are looking for a daughter-in-law, son-in-law, you can do this, okay? So you will have a very happy family at home, okay? So, now I am not making the thing, if you go there, they will tell. See, when I travel, she will not allow me to stay in the guest house. She makes me to stay in the home. Okay? I am outside, but still. Whereas in Bangalore we have the people. When you go and knock at the door, they from inside they say we are not at home. Sometimes I ask them, who is there inside? If they are not at home, the devil must be answering my call. So that shows the erosion in our culture and values. Okay? Now come to the campus. This is a climber, you know, Western Ghat climber. See, I was fascinated by the architecture. I felt I should have it in Bangalore. That's in my campus. When I was a student, I took this spot to the Bangalore. 14 seeds were there. Out of 14, 7 seeds I planted in 7 places. Other 7 I kept in my lab. Because if somebody questions, no, what is the fruit? I should give them a specimen so that they can do the molecular analysis. So when out of 7, only 1 survived. If you look at where it survived, next to the building where I have worked for 2 decades. Even the plants know who take care. Other 6 didn't survive. Though I planted in the same environment and the thing. Just because I was not very close to those places, it didn't survive. So then, in front of this building, we created a mini forest. In a 2 hectares area, 49 native species, 500 saplings were planted. Way back in 90s when I was a student. Today you come and see, you get a feel of the rainforest. And you see the slender orange, varieties of snakes in that. And more importantly, temperature is 2 degrees lower. What I was talking about microclimate management, I am illustrating here. Then groundwater, which was 150 feet before the forest, when the region was infested with Martini. Today I have the water at 10 feet, which establishes the link between the water and the vegetation. So that's what, as a forest officer, when you do the good job, you are giving water to everybody, every organism on the earth. When you don't do a good job, then you are doing a tragedy in the system. So, okay, then we communicate to the people. So this is how we do the capacity building. You know, I also offer a course which is in addition to what I teach in at IISC, another course on environment management. I have offered for the last 21 years. The 21st session is going on now. So that means we have done the capacity building at school level and at the other levels also. This also I accepted this invite as a part of the capacity building program. And I organize a symposium, popularly known as Lake Symposium, once in 2 years. If you look at the audience, all the stakeholders are there. Politicians, decision makers, everyone is there. The Ministry of Environment Secretary is there, Minister is there, and everyone is there. You said, how will you reach the destination? I don't go there. I bring them here and communicate to them. Okay? And the uniqueness of this event is the school children take part. You know, in the audience of 1,000 or 1,200, 30% are the school and college students. You know, when they attend and listen to the international and national experts, they have the knowledge. And when they do the presentation in this forum, the capacity building happens. See, they do the simple experiment like carbon sequestration. So next time it rains, I am going to take it. Understanding is that, okay? Then, you will have one. 2. Okay? Then, see, they do the lake monitoring and the catchment mapping. And also you can see that children are trained by my students. They come to the lab, they analyze. And also the children in rural area, they do the biodiversity mapping in the neighborhood. You know, this is as per the norm, Biodiversity Act, we are supposed to have PBR. The government didn't succeed. When I deployed the youth power, in 1 year I got 170 panchayat the details. You know, that is where the strength is there. And when we conducted a evaluation workshop, 98% of those documents were correct. That means there is a hope in the youth of the country. Okay? And this gives a glimpse of our interaction with the children. And you are talking about lifestyle for environment. You know, if you come to my office, I use only 20 mats. The people in the administration were generous to give tube lights. I didn't like the tube light, which is about 360 watt. With the 18 watt LED, I am doing the job. Above my lap, I have the solar panel and water bottle. Okay? And we travel invariably by this mode. So you can see my students using all this. And I also go by the metro or the public transport. Okay, when we organize symposium, there is no plastic and all the things are natural. We teach them in a simple way, so they understand the principles of nature very effectively. And children come and plant. And if you look at when somebody leaves us, we don't cry. On the 12th day, we just bring the kids to the campus. We do the planting. One of my well-known ornithologists passed away, my colleague. On the 12th day of his death, he is only 40 years old fellow. I used to tell him, don't use mobile too much. Your head will burst. As I predicted, that's where I was concerned about using it. So he had a great knowledge. See, just I was traveling with him in July in a car. He was continuously using the mobile. I have to tell him that he should give that existence of partners and the collaborators in the vehicle. He didn't do that. I said, if you continue to do, your head will burst. Then after 3 months, I got a message when I was in Delhi that he is no more and he had a brain hemorrhage. He collapsed in the classroom. So that's where you should take the advice of the elders when we caution, okay? So, sometimes time it happens, we should accept it. Okay? Now, I talked about my colleague, okay? 500 ficus planting, I did it in a campus. Because idea is not the number. Is the child when it plants, it comes for the birthday and waters the plant. See, every child has a different birthday. So that's how the watering is also taken care. Now we also solved the God's problem. You know, in Gokarna, there is a pond, Koti Tirtha is there. There is a Lord Shiva's temple is there. And that pond water was stinking. So then local youth approached us and asked us whether we can do something. We did the study. We found because of organic matter decaying, that is the problem. And organic matter, it is because of the ritual. In our country, you can stop anything. You can stop water, electricity, but not the rituals. So what I did, I talked to the priest. I had an understanding with the priest. I told the priest, you have to do one thing. That I will designate a place. You name it as Vaikuntha or Kailas. And people have to do the Visarjana of those puja material in that location. At the time you should chant and collect 25 rupees per family. Okay? You know, in the process, not 25, 250 rupees per family. In the process, we have 20,000 to 25,000 rupees per month, which is given to NGO. NGO has hired 3 youths. Their job is to do the DVD, take this excess rice balls. You know, the 12th day, 14th day anniversary, we do the rice balls, that puja. No? That rice balls, they take it and give it to cattle in the Goshala. Okay? And in the meanwhile, we introduce the fish which eats the rice. If there are any residues of the rice, that also should be handled. So that is the ecological engineering. Now, see, before scientists meets the God, God was taking a bath of contaminated water. After scientists give the solution to God, water is like this. See the change. So now Lord Shiva is there in front of him. His son is also standing. Both of them have the abhishek of this clean water. Naturally, they must be happy. So look at my profile. The last 4 years, you will see what I have done has gone to the society. Okay. This is the way you can communicate to me if you have any. These are the portals where you get my publications. This is the biodiversity. We are one of the leading center of biodiversity. We also promote the free and open source software. And all my publications are archived at this location. Well, see, if you want to, some of you are asking for the slides and all, my presentations are available online at YouTube, okay, and also on my webpage you can see the publications, okay, and this gives a glimpse of the water testing labs which we have created in some of the schools. Don't think that I am Tata's or Birla. This is the money which I got in the form of award. I have given it back to the society. I have told my family that has come without my expectation. It should go back to the society. Okay? So this is where the youth, when they do the good job, there is a smile on everybody's face. Thank you very much. Okay? Now I think it's only 5:12 according to my timings. It was showing 5:16. Okay, if you have any queries, I would be happy to answer.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, exactly.